Hey, everybody. Welcome. It is time for our Tuesday live stream. I love hanging out with you guys and going live and talking all about virtual assistants. And today is going to be a very special treat because we are joined by the one, the only Melanie Fountain.
Hi, everyone.
She is our SavvySystem Director, has an amazing story herself, her journey to becoming a virtual assistant, which she's going to share with us. And I'm just really excited to dive into tips for becoming a virtual assistant. We're going to take it down all the way to the very beginning. So for anybody watching today that is really in that beginning stage of their business, so you're like, man, I'm just getting started, or I'm thinking about virtual assistants, or, maybe I've started, but I'm just not getting much traction. This live stream is for you. So this is going to be really incredible time. I'm very excited to chat. And before we jump into our tips, I want to go ahead and shout this out while everybody's starting to join the live. We have an amazing training coming up. It's a free 5-day series where we're going to teach you a different tip for starting your business every single day. And it's really, the goal is in this 5 days that you're going to have the tools and resources you need to really start your VA journey. So if you've been thinking, man, I really, really want to get started in my business, go ahead and sign up for this free training. I'll be going live every single day at noon Central Time starting on July 12th. So I'm pretty excited for that. It's going to be amazing. And you just will not want to miss that live stream series. So let's go ahead and do this. And if any of you have been a part of our Biz in 5 before, definitely shout it out below. We always have a good time. It's going to be really, really awesome. So I know, and it's really cool because it's an extended time since we're going live every single day. We always have an extended time to answer questions and things like that. So just definitely start going ahead and thinking of the questions that you have about starting a virtual assistant business, because we'll be answering them in that series. And Melanie will be joining me for those.
That's my favorite part.
I know, it's so fun. All right, so we're going to break apart our top tips. Actually, Melanie went ahead and downloaded her tips to me right before we jumped on. I'm like, oh, this is going to be so good. So we're not going to delay. We're going to jump right in. But why don't we, most people know you, I feel like, but if somebody's brand new to the Virtual Savvy, why don't you just go ahead and tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do at TVS, and then we'll kind of jump into your journey.
Sure. Well, my name is Melanie Fountain. I am the SavvySystem Director with the Virtual Savvy. So I support our students in their journeys as, starting, growing, and scaling their virtual assistant businesses.
Awesome. And let us hear you kind of, how did you get to that point, right? Because it's definitely not where you started. So tell everybody a little bit about your VA journey. And we want to hear, from the very beginning, some of the pitfalls maybe that you had, and then, what your business ended up being, because you grew it into this really incredible thing.
So all of this is so surreal to me. Let me just say, because like you said, Abby, I did not start here. And now being the SavvySystem Director is just so crazy because, like a lot of you watching this, I worked the 9 to 5. I worked too many hours for too little money in a job that I was not happy in. And I'm a single mom. And for those of you single parents out there, or just parents or people that just want to enjoy their lives, know that how discouraging it can be to be working that 9 to 5 and then have to sacrifice time for the things and the people that you love. So I started Googling all the things, how to work at home. And all I saw were MLMs, and no offense to anybody that does MLMs out there. But that's when I stumbled across Abby and virtual assisting, and a light bulb went off. I knew that I was like, this is it. I was in marketing at the time, and I had already been doing some social media. I had been doing some general admin. I already had some skills that I can kind of use. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I, indulged all the free resources, and I tried to do it on my own. And I actually got my first client before I started, right as about the time that I joined the SavvySystem, at the time, the VA bootcamp. And but then I knew that I couldn't do it on my own. So I joined the Savvy System and as a general VA. And so I did a little bit of all the things, but I still found myself trading the time for the money. And then what I fell in love with shortly after starting my VA business was Pinterest management. And once I chose that niche and found what I love doing, I was able to quit my full-time job after starting the Savvy System within 5 months of starting my business and we're going to go into those tips in a little bit, but because I just started and let me tell you, there were a lot of failures along the way. There were a lot of no's. There were a lot of failed niches. There were a lot of bad clients that I had to let go of. And all of those failures, all of those things, starting my business led me to where I am today. So as a Pinterest manager, I still knew that I love the virtual savvy. And so, going out there and trying to find clients and all of that, I hung out in the community. And then just this last December, I was like, okay, I'm going to get in deeper with them. And then that's when I got my job here at the Virtual Savvy as the Savvy System Director, now able to support all of you and help you take the same journey and help you through the same pitfalls that I had to go through as well.
Yeah. Oh, and you do such a great job of it. We all love Melanie. She literally kills it as a Savvy System Director. So good. And what's so cool too is that I love hearing your journey because I know we've got, single parents in watching, and my mom was a single mom and gave up so much, I know, to just be with us. And I remember like she was like a computer programmer, and she quit her job to do that, to be a lunch lady, just so she could have to work at the same school as us and have similar hours. And being a single mom, it was important to her to do that. And I look back and I'm like, it's so amazing, the sacrifices I feel like that you give as a single parent, because you're just like, I'm going to do what I can, what's best for my kids. And it blows my mind. So just kudos to you, because I know you're just killing it, and your daughter's amazing. I think she's there with you too, right?
Yeah, she's there in the other room.
She's hanging out in the other room. And that's so great though, that you're able to have that time with her. And it's really special what you're doing. So well done.
And so I just want to speak to that too, because there's a lot of people that are starting their journeys and not knowing if they can balance the 9 to 5 and also do the VA work and try to quit. And there's this fear of, oh, I'm going to work too much and not be able to have time for my kids, or I'm going to start this business and my kids are going to see me working all the time at home. And what I feel is that when you start your business at home, your kids get to see you working towards your dreams. And I feel like such a benefit as a parent to have this sort of opportunity, because you're teaching your kids that anything is possible.
Yeah, so good. All right, so let's talk about the day-to-day of a virtual assistant. So working from home, and I know you started while you were doing your 9 to 5 as well. So what did it actually look like? Maybe spit off, especially when you were doing general admin, what were some of the things you were doing for business owners, and what did a normal day look like for you?
So when I first started my business and I was working the 9 to 5 and I was doing the general admin work, time blocking was a huge thing for me. And I would wake up early and respond to client emails and plan my day. So if I knew that at work, I might have an extra pocket of time, maybe during my lunch, that I can work on some client work, that I would do that. And in the evenings, I would spend time with my daughter and then work into the evening to work on clients or to market or to work through my course or whatever that looked like. But I knew that I had a goal, and that within that year, I wanted to quit my 9 to 5. So that initial hustle was really something that was absolutely worth that sacrifice to me at the time. And then as I got some more clients and I was able to get to a point where I felt comfortable quitting my 9 to 5 job, then when I left, my days looked completely different. It was harder but easier at the same time, because you're like, oh, I'm not working. Maybe I could go shopping. Maybe I could do, and you have to still be really intentional about the time that you do, about the time you spend on your business. So we have to remember our why when we're working at home, working full time as a VA. So for me, it was in the mornings, making sure that I spend time with my daughter before school, and then having that block of time when she was at school to get all of the things done that I needed to get, starting with, clients that are waiting on me, and then the tasks that I really needed to focus on, but having dedicated time throughout the day for each of those tasks. Because I don't know about you, Abby, but if I don't have a plan and I'm not intentional, I find myself all over the place.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah. And so for those out there that are either you're working your 9 to 5 or you're a stay-at-home mom or whatever that looks like for you, being intentional and then making sure to have those times carved out and being intentional with your family. I think having that distinction, intentional business time and intentional family time, is really important.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like I have to, I just, like, when we moved to this house 2 years ago, so I've been doing my business since 2015, but I just now got like an actual office, and it is really nice. And I know it's like, again, I've spent years and years not doing it, so it's okay not to, but like to be able to like close the door and be like, okay, I'm done working now, So for you, it might just be closing the laptop or having a space that you leave, and like, this is where I work, and then I leave that space. And then of course, every once in a while I still go and work on my laptop, like on the couch or whatever, because you can. But yeah, I think that, having those, okay, this is when I'm working and this is when I'm not working, is super important. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments where you're at. If you are, still working a 9 to 5, if you've already quit your job to do virtual assistants full time, if you are, just kind of where you're at in your journey. I actually love it when people start their business while they're working their 9 to 5, because it like you said, it is a hustle. It is a grind. Like that is, but we think of it as a season. Okay. In this season, it's going to be crazy town, and I'm going to have early mornings and late nights, but you're working for something that's so tangible, because when you turn in that 2-week notice and you quit your job to do virtual assistants full time, it is literally it's one of my favorite things to celebrate inside the Savvy system when we hear those, because we hear them all the time. Like, I finally quit my job. I turned in my 2 weeks notice, whatever it is. And it's so rewarding. So, I love it. So I'd love to hear kind of where you are at this point, still working and desiring to start a VA business. I need more time in my life overall to do things, still working a full-time job, working on my business, still working my 9 to 5. For me, time blocking is a must. So, yep, I think that, and Rachel, our senior director of product, we have students inside the Savvy system just this week turn in their notices to quit their 9 to 5. So we love celebrating that with you guys, for real. Okay, so I want to know this, for people who are kind of still figuring out if this is even the right path for them. How do you know if virtual assistants is right for you? Like, is it not a good fit for some people? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I have thoughts, but I want to hear your thoughts.
So for me, when I realized it was right for me, I was like, I'm already doing this.
Yeah.
And it was a light bulb moment. So as soon as I saw virtual assistants, I didn't even go into the details. I was like, okay, this is it. And because I'm already doing those skills. So for people out there that are already, maybe they're admins or maybe they're housekeepers and they stay at home and they do all the budgets. And, if you know how to turn on a computer and go into email and all of that, you can do virtual assistants. But you're probably asking, is it really for me? And the thing about being a virtual assistant is you have to want to put in the work. If you want a quick fix, if you want something that you don't have to work for, it might not be for you, because in the long run, we also teach systems and setups and getting to the point where you can work less. But at first, it's a lot of work. So somebody that doesn't want to work towards that goal, then that might not be for you. But if you're somebody that's willing to work towards, that work at home life or having more time for your kids or all of that, then virtual assistants might be for you. Do you have, if you like figuring things out, if you like getting into things and breaking them apart, then virtual assistants might be for you. And virtual assistants is really such a general term. Just because you're a virtual assistant doesn't mean you have to do the general admin or the data or things like that, because I was never a big data or systems or process person. I love the creative aspect. I love people. So any skill that you already have you can start your own business doing that. But, some people like the 9 to 5. If you like something where somebody's going to be telling you what to do every single step of the way, without that ability to figure it out or figure it outofness, as we say around here, then it might not be for you. But if, we're talking about working at home and figuring it out and using the skills that you have and all of that, then it might be for you. And I would even explore and go and watch our YouTube videos and go and download the freebies. I'm sure our team can link to some of the amazing things that we have, the checklists and the virtual savvy /swag, because, until you go in there and you're reading through it, and you won't necessarily know if it's for you until you start diving in and, seeing what it's all about. So if you're just watching this now and you're like, I don't even know what a virtual assistant is, go check out our resources at thevirtualsavvy.com and then learn what it's all about. But I really think that if you're somebody that's watching this, you're already interested in it. You already have an interest. So go check it out and go see if it's right for you. But I really think that anybody that has the ability and the want to figure things out and to start, their own business at home, this is really one of the best opportunities there are out there to do this yourself.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like there are few people, it's not for everyone, but because virtual assistants is so broad, because if you are more of like a data driven and I love to organize things and all of that, like or maybe you're more introverted, like, well, then working at home seems really great. But if you're, more extroverted, or if you're more creative, then you could do things like Pinterest management or starting to create graphics or PDFs or whatever, learn to design websites. Like it covers such a wide range of skills that I feel like most people who are self-motivated, because I do think that is one of the things too, is that, you will have to wake up and be like, all right, I'm going to do this. Right. And the people who are like, yeah, I would just really I just want something that's like easy. Like, I just want to like fill out a couple surveys and make, $20 a month. I'm like, yeah, this isn't for you. Right. Yeah. But anybody else, like you said, I feel like it's so broad what you can do that I think that there's aspects that appeal to introverts, that appeal to extroverts. I think that there's aspects that appeal to like the analytical mind, that appeal to the creative mind, right? So because it's so broad, I just feel like most people who want to do this really can do it, which is cool. That's why I love it so much. And that's why I like tell the world about it. I'm like, you guys, because that exact same thing, my story, like, I was looking for different ways to make money from home, and I had tried so many different random things. And then a friend was like, have you looked into being a virtual assistant? I have a friend who's a virtual assistant and she loves it. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. What is that? And so went home, scoured the internet. There was not as much information back in 2015 as there is now. We've put out a lot of information so the world can know about it. But, I found what information was out there about virtual assistants. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I could do this. I really think that I didn't have I didn't know most of the stuff out there, but I was looking at the simple things like, can I write an email? Can I figure out how, am I good at research? Well, I love to plan trips for our family, or I love Googling. And I do love to learn and I had some administrative jobs, and that was pretty much it. I didn't have experience. I think most of us don't going into this. But I was like, I can do a couple of those things, and I guess those things would be helpful to small business owners. So yeah, I guess I can do this, right? I think that that's how a lot of us start. I think we also might have a frozen Melanie. Does anybody, or maybe I'm frozen, who knows? I love research. Allison says, I actually sat down and made a list of all the things that I can do being a virtual assistant. It was a little bit of everything, a lot of creative things. That's perfect, Allison. That's like literally exactly how I started as well. It was like, it can get really overwhelming to look at all the things that you can't do. I'm going to take Melanie down for just a second. She'll rejoin in a moment. But it can be really overwhelming to take a look at all the things that you can't do and be like, oh, I'm not qualified enough. I don't know this or this or this. Guys, none of us started knowing how to do those things. None of us. So when you go in and you look, like we have a blog post that's 50 skills you can offer as a virtual assistant, and you're looking and you're like, I can only do like 2 of these. Great, right? Start with those 2 services, because if those 2 things could help a small business owner with their business and you could do that for them and take something off their plate, then that is of value. So don't discredit the value that you have. Don't discredit all that you can do because you're focusing on what you can't do, okay? None of us came out of the womb knowing how to work Canva, right? So that'd be an impressive baby. All right, let's keep going. So we're going to start walking through what is it. Well, actually, let me pause while Melanie's still joining us again. If you guys have not already, because I know some of you guys weren't on when we first started, joined our Biz in 5. I'm doing a free 5-day series, and we're going to be talking about the different aspects. One of the things is virtual assistants right for me? What do I really need? The top mistakes virtual assistants make, right? And so if that's something that appeals to you, make sure that you join this free 5-day series. It's happening in just a few weeks. I'll be going live every single day. And this way you'll get the emails and you'll know everything about when I'm going live. You'll get, if you're not able to attend the lives, you'll get the replays, all of that. So make sure, if you haven't already, to join our Biz in 5. It's going to be amazing. And hey, we have Melanie back. Yay!
Let me tell you a funny story. Comcast literally showed up and shut off my internet right now. I'm like, you're not allowed to do that right now.
No, you can't do that.
No, you're not allowed to. So we're back. We're good. Thank you all for your patience.
Funny. No worries. All right, so let's keep going. So you have some tips for us.
I do have some tips, some good tips.
Let's go ahead and hear them. What are the 5 tips for becoming a virtual assistant? And you told me these earlier, and I was like, this is going to be so good. So let's just jump right into those.
Okay, so the first one is start with the skills you already have. And
talking about that.
Well, exactly. And we were talking a little bit about it earlier, but I really want to dive into this one because what I hear so many new virtual assistants say, or people thinking about becoming a virtual assistant, is that I don't have the skills to do it. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what I'm doing. Or they have this idea that they have to jump right into a specialty, Pinterest management, Dubsado specialist, workflows, all of that. But that's not the case. So many of you watching this, probably all of you, have something that you can offer today that is going to make it so that you can start a virtual assistant business and be successful. When I first started, I knew nothing about Pinterest, and I became an expert in it over time, but I started with the skills I already had. I had years of administrative assistant experience, so whatever you can do with that, you can do email management and general admin. I was an executive assistant, and I also did some social media marketing. So, but for those of you that are, stay-at-home moms and maybe haven't worked in a while, you probably know how to use social media. How can you use that to your advantage? If you are somebody out there that works in the corporate world, and any skill that you have right now, you can really get started as a virtual assistant. Don't get hung up on the fact that you don't have a specialty. Start where you're at. And our team can maybe link to a blog that we have about, skills that you can use right now as a virtual, or you can use to start your business right now as a virtual assistant. But really, guys, you have a skill. You have so many skills. You can start using them right now.
Yeah. And we get this question a lot, like, oh man, I don't know what I would specialize in. Like, I don't have a niche, right? Like, I'm not a Pinterest manager, or I'm not I don't know the real estate world, so I can't be a real estate VA. And I'm like, that's actually great. Like I tell most people not to start out with a niche. And it's like this whole thing you'll hear in the internet world, people say like the riches are in the niches or whatever. And I do think that's true. Like there is an aspect of that where it's like, you know, okay, if you can niche down and become a Pinterest manager eventually, or become a copywriter eventually, whatever you can niche down to, I think that that's great. And there's definitely more potential to earn more money in that. But when you're first getting started, guys, you don't know. Like I had no idea what the heck I was doing. And so hopefully that's some comfort to you. And, you know, you start out with the skills that you have. Okay, I can answer emails. I can do research. I can do travel booking. And yeah, that was pretty, you know, and I did like simple social media scheduling. Those were literally, I think I had like 4 or 5 things on my list. And I just started out with general admin. And the more I started to work with people, like I think at first, actually, I had appointment setting phone calls. Like I would like call people on the phone. And within like 2 days of doing that, I'm like, no, that's not on my list of services anymore. Like I don't want to call people with a crying baby in the background, right? So no, gonna cross that off. And you slowly start to work things. And then you'll have a client be like, oh, could you schedule these Pinterest pins for me? And you're like, I don't really know how to do that, but I'm a fast learner and I can figure it out. That was like my go-to catchphrase. Like, I'm a fast learner and I can figure it out. So I would figure it out. And then you might say, oh my gosh, I actually love doing this. And you'll dive a little further. And you wouldn't have known that if you didn't just start where you were, right? Like if you didn't just start with the skills that you had, offered them, and then slowly you'll learn more. And you'll look back 2 or 3 years later and you're like, dang, I know a lot, right?
And one of the best things about starting general is that you get to really learn what you like to do, because, you know, maybe you don't like doing these skills in your 9 to 5 necessarily, but it's a whole different feeling when you get to do these skills in your pajamas from home. Let me just tell you, that first paying client in your pajamas, you're like, I've made it.
Yeah.
So now my second tip is, tell your people. Just start talking about it. Start talking about your goals and your dreams with even just your best friends and family. You never know if even somebody close to you that you talk to on a daily basis has a business idea that you can help them get started. Or maybe they know somebody that has a business. Talk to friends and you don't know if they've been keeping a blog from you. You know, go out there and just start talking to people about what your plan is, what you want to do. And then that opens the door to a conversation. Well, what services are you going to offer? Who do you want to work with? How does this all work? And you don't know who has a business or who knows somebody until you just start talking about it. And for those of you that have started your virtual assistant business already, know that sometimes the scariest part is just telling people. And when you can overcome that step and let people know what you're doing in your journey, then you overcome one of the scariest first steps is just telling people. And then you probably know a small business owner. If you can't think of them off the top of your head, you probably know one.
Right. You know, probably know one person, like one person that owns, like who's, you know, like you said, does MLM or has a blog or is a real estate agent or a health coach or something. Like you probably know one person that owns a small business. And just like you know one person that owns a small business, every person you know knows one person who owns a small business. Yes. Literally, just by telling your people, just the people in your circle, what you're doing, the people who love you and want to support you, right? Just by doing that, you're automatically at least doubling your network, right? So it's so important to do that. And we do have our personal outreach template as well. So we have a template that shows you how to do this at thevirtualsavvy.com/swag. It's one of the templates there. It's called the personal outreach template. And you can literally like download this, copy it, edit it, and send it out to your friends and family. And it's one of those scary things. Like people are always nervous to do this thing. And it's like, this moment of boldness to be like, oh my gosh, I'm actually telling people that I'm doing this thing. But this template makes it really easy. You type it up, you get it ready, and you close your eyes, you hit send, and you run away from your computer. That's and then it gets easier over time, right? Like eventually you'll love talking about your business and you won't be able to shut up about it, which is the place that I'm at now, where people are like, okay, let's talk about something else. But in the beginning, it's scary, but it's a step that we've all had to go through. Okay, so you're not alone in it. So what's your next tip, Melanie?
So the next one is make local connections. And this is how I was able to land my first client, is going to local networking events. Now, I know we're kind of in a weird time. Not all of us have open local networking events right now because of all of the crazy things going on in the world. However, there are local Facebook groups. There are still businesses open, and there are, you can go out there and just talk to people. So now you've told your friends and your family, and you took that bold step and you told someone, but now you can go talk to your local people and just tell them about what you do and say how it could benefit them, or just even go out there and say, hey, I noticed you don't have a Facebook account. Let me set one up for you. Let's just sit down, grab a cup of coffee, and talk about what you need help with in your business. And just starting those conversations can be the first steps to getting your first client, because your local market are people that you can talk to face to face. Just you being local already has a trust factor. You're like, oh, you're local. You know the town. You know my business. There's already something that you can make a connection with. So make connections in your local community. If you can, go to a local networking group. Like B&I was one of the ones I went to. And just as like a guest, I never ended up signing up for that. But just going there with my business card and sharing virtual assistant, I had a whole stack of cards from people that are like, I need help. And I walked out with a couple of my first clients, and it's really as simple as just showing up, because people like people. People purchase from people, and if you can make local connections, then that's a really great first step when you're getting started as a virtual assistant.
Yeah, for sure. Local networking events, it's exactly where I got my first clients as well. There's something really powerful about just showing up and being like, I'm Abby and I'm a virtual assistant. And it's empowering. It's scary as all get out the first time you do it. And something like just a tip for networking events, by the way, you can go to type in your city and state and type in Chamber of Commerce. So like I live in Springfield, Missouri. So Springfield, Missouri, Chamber of Commerce. A lot of times they'll have events. You can go to meetup.com. If you don't live in a big city where there's not a networking event, you could start one. I've known people to do that. But usually whatever the biggest city near you will have them, right? And so check out live networking events. And then the other thing I was going to say, what was it? Whenever you show up to a live networking event, I remember the very first time there was so much of a like, what am I gonna say? Like, I don't know what I'm gonna talk. Like that, I think was my biggest fear with going to a networking event, was like, oh, what do I even talk about? What do I even say? Like, I just felt so out of my league. And I'm telling you, like, if you just go, small business owners just want to talk about their own business. So I didn't even really ever talk about my business much. I literally would just be like, oh, what do you do? Oh, cool. And then I would just ask them questions about their business. And it's amazing when you just get people talking, a lot of times they will end up like over-telling so much. And they'll be like, oh yeah, so I run a roofing company and we serve here and here and here. We've grown really fast. We're actually like really, it's actually kind of bad because we're so behind that we're not even sending people their invoices and And like people will overshare and then they're like, oh, so what do you do? 30 minutes into the conversation. Oh, I'm a virtual assistant. I actually help small businesses like with sending invoices and writing emails, and it's just amazing. So just don't be so scared about what am I going to say? What am I going to do? You need to be able to explain what a virtual assistant is. So if there's one thing to practice is, I'm a virtual assistant. What is a virtual assistant? You're going to get that question. As long as you can answer that question, you can go to a local networking event. Okay. So just practice that over and over and over. And then everything else, it's pretty much just them like other people talking about their businesses, and then you collect business cards and you follow up and you get clients. Like it's kind of like magic. It works, guys. Just do it.
Absolutely. And I love what Rachel says. She says, I think sometimes being in our online bubble, we think it is a saturated market, but in reality, virtual assistants is still a growing market, and a lot of people don't really know about it.
Yep.
Which is so true. You're here in this group of over 60,000 virtual assistants, or aspiring virtual assistants, and we think that there's, not enough room. I'm going on a tangent here, but that, there's too many virtual assistants. I can't get jobs, but this is just because we're in a virtual assistant group. But if you go out there and talk to people at the supermarket or at local Chamber of Commerce events, most people have no idea what a virtual assistant is. It's still such a growing industry. So go out there and make those local connections, and just show up as yourself. And I love what you said, Abby, about let them talk and tell you what their problems are.
Yep, as they will. I love this. Christy, she's a SavvySystem student. She said, I went to my first local networking meeting. I was already a member because of an MLM I was involved with. We had to introduce ourselves. I had no idea what I was talking about. Hey, we've all been there. I basically announced that I'm a new VA. Then I started the SavvySystem course, went back to that group 2 months later, walked away with a client that night. That's so awesome.
That's amazing.
So good. Let's keep going. Number 4.
Number 4, and this is a biggie, it doesn't have to be perfect. When we're starting our businesses, we think we have to have everything perfect in order to tell people about it, in order to go market ourselves, in order to officially launch our businesses. But really, if your business is going to change a million times. You're going to pivot, have so many micro pivots and so many big pivots in your business. And let's be honest, Abby, and everybody watching, nothing will ever be perfect.
Right.
Because as soon as you think that, I think I've got this, something changes. You add a new service. You don't really quite like that logo. But if you wait for things to be perfect, you'll never get started.
Yep. And it's one of the main reasons we tell people all the time is to wait on a website. That's like one of the big things that people just spend so much time and energy. Do I think you should have a website? Yes, I do think you should have a website. But I tell people, get your first client first, because there's something really powerful about getting that first client. One, it's like this, I can do this. And I swear it's like a snowball effect. Sometimes it feels so hard to get your first client. And then once you get it, it's like, and then boom, boom, second, third, fourth, fifth, right? Yeah. And so, but a website is one of those things that's really easy to get hung up on. And so, one of our core values here is action over perfection. And we value it so much because we've just seen how powerful it can be. So if I'm talking to you right now, if you're watching this right now and you have been stuck on something because you're waiting for it to be perfect, stop it. Stop. Launch before it's perfect. Go set ready. Let's go. And then you can still, like Melanie said, make tweaks, make pivots along the way. But yep, that's so good. So good. I'm talking to somebody waiting to do that thing because it's still not perfect yet. Stop it. Done is better than perfect. Let's go.
And one more thing there too is that if you make everything look perfect, okay, you might look like a pretty business, but are you making money in your business? Do you have clients? Then you're not really a business. You just have a pretty website and a pretty logo. What makes a business are those paying clients. Yep. And so don't wait for things to be perfect. And then that brings. And then now for the last tip, which this isn't the last one. I could talk about this all day, guys. But these are the 5 ones that I feel are really important. Don't do it alone. First of all, entrepreneurial can be lonely. You don't, you can find yourself getting in your own head. You can find yourself getting stuck on those little details and waiting for things to be perfect. You don't want to do it alone. Find an accountability partner. Join a program. This isn't even a plug for the SavvySystem. Any program but the SavvySystem has a really awesome community. And if our students are in here, can tell you is that, when you're having a bad day, you find your people that lift you up, that can give you feedback, that can push you through those difficult times. And somebody just just to tell you, okay, you're spending way too much time on this. You should be focusing on this. And, not doing it alone and, talking to somebody and somebody knowing about it and holding you accountable helps you move forward in your business, because we can all get stuck in not maybe in that point where we don't even start, or even in those beginning stages. But when you find a person or your people that can help push you forward, you are far more likely to be successful. And I'm speaking about a lot of the students in the Savvy system, the people that reach out and get those accountability partners and show up and share when they're having difficult times in their businesses, or even celebrate what's going well in their businesses. Those are the people that succeed.
Yep. So true. So true. So we've been training VAs since I've been training other virtual assistants since December 2016 is officially when I started training other people on how to become a virtual assistant. And, in that time, we've been able to see the people who just succeed and the ones who don't, like the ones who give up. And I would say that having a community is one of the largest factors, right? Is how much do you just go in and share your successes, share your struggles, share what's going on, and having other people root you on and asking questions, right? And that's one of the reasons I love our Savvy System community so much, is it's a place where you can just ask safe questions. It's just my client asked me to do this and I'm freaking out because I don't know how to do it. What do I do? Right. And it's a safe place to ask that, where your client's not going to see it and you can still be like, I'm freaking out as a business owner. Right. And so, I absolutely love that tip.
And also, one thing that people don't tell you about being an entrepreneur and about being a virtual assistant is that you learn so much about yourself along the way. Mm-hmm. There's this whole new world. There's this whole new part of you that you unlock when you say yes and you decide to take that big step. And you learn so much about yourself and your family. Maybe you could talk to them about it, or your friends, maybe you could talk to them about it, but they don't understand the same way that the people in a community with other people on the same journey as you are going through. Everybody's going through this journey of self-discovery, of starting their businesses, of those failures, but also those successes. And I think, like what you said, Abby, that community is really a huge determining factor of a successful person starting the virtual assistant business.
Yeah. I had somebody on social media get mad at me once because I talked about like a community is a non-negotiable, you have to have community. And they were like, I didn't have anyone support me and I made it this far, And I'm like, okay, can you make it without a community? I'm sure you could, right? I'm not saying you're not strong enough on your own, you can't do it, but man, it just makes it easier, right? If I'm going to do something the easy way or the hard way, I'm just going to choose the easy way. And I feel like community is kind of just giving yourself that leg up it just makes it easier.
I 100% agree.
Oh, people on the internet are funny. So those are amazing tips. I would love to hear below what one is your favorite, right? If you didn't get them all, start with the skills you already have. Mm-hmm. Tell your people, make local connections. Know that it doesn't have to be perfect, and then don't do it alone. Melanie, thank you so much for these tips. This has been absolutely amazing. If you guys have any questions, we can hang out here a little bit longer. But while people are dropping their questions in the comments, I would just love to hear from you, Melanie. What is the best tip you ever received? If you could go back and you're starting your VA journey, what's something that somebody told you that you're like, oh, that made a really big impact on me?
Oh man, there's so many nuggets and it's really hard to pick just one. But at the beginning, I saw this quote at the inside of the community, and it said, you miss 100% of the chances you don't take. Mm-hmm. And that really hit me because you don't you don't know if it's going to be a yes or a no. You don't know if you're going to succeed or not unless you start, unless you say yes, and unless you take the chance. Because whether you're thinking about starting a virtual assistant business and you don't know if you're going to succeed, or you're going to reach out to that first client, or you're in that scaling process and you're not sure if you should start an agency or whatever that looks like, wherever you are in your VA journey, you miss 100% of the chances you don't take. And that's really helped fuel a lot of the decisions that I've made along this journey.
Yep. So good. I think it's, recognizing and appreciating and valuing the season you're in that fit in the thing that you're doing. So think of like anything you would consider yourself an expert in, right? Maybe you are an expert baker, right? Like you can make amazing food, or maybe you are an expert at, I don't know, like bike riding or running or just anything, right? Like whatever you would consider yourself to be an expert in. You didn't start off as an expert in that thing, right? Like there was some kind of a journey to get you to that point. And so I've been weightlifting since January, and it's so funny because even just looking back, so it's been, almost 6 months now. And in the beginning, so I have like a trainer and she would say, oh, go grab the easy bar. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, right? Like I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. And then week by week, day by day, I got a little better and a little better, a little better. And I'm 6 months in, and I am by no means an expert. Do I look like a bodybuilder to you? I don't. Like I'm not an expert, right? But it's like I know more now than I knew then, and I feel more confident. I'm starting to get to the point where like my husband and I will go to the gym and I'll be like, oh, hey, here's some things you could like, oh, I want to work my biceps. Oh, here's like 5 things you could do. Like, I'm like, oh, I know this, right? Like, I kind of know what I'm doing here. And that's in 6 months. Like, and I think that appreciating the journey that you're in, appreciating the season of that thing that you're learning is so important. And it's humbling a little bit to come back to being a beginner when you are an expert at other things, but it's also awesome, like to be a beginner and just to soak in all the knowledge and be like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to put myself back in the learner seat, right? When maybe you've been in a teacher seat, maybe you're high up in your company or something, right? And you're like, I'm going to bring myself back down low to be a learner again. There's something really awesome about it. So I don't know. I just wanted to like go off on that little tangent a little bit because I feel like it's something that I've been learning a lot lately is just appreciating that season that you're in and knowing that it's not a bad thing to start as a newbie in something again, because you're just opening a whole new path to, Melanie, how many years in are you now? 2, 3 years in?
Oh gosh, I'm coming up on 3 years as a virtual assistant. And it's
now is so different than what you knew in the beginning.
It looks 100% different. And now I outsource a little bit and I'm able to step away from certain aspects of my business. But with every season you're in your business, you're a newbie at something, whether it's a different marketing skill, or you're like, okay, now I want to outsource. And well, I've never outsourced before. Every season you're in, you're going to be a newbie at something. You're going to have to continue to learn. And I love what you said, Abby. Appreciate the season that you're in.
Yeah, so good. All right. Do you guys have any questions in the comments? I don't really think I saw any some really good tips though. Teresa, I love when people who already have VA businesses share their tips. So thank you. Teresa said, best tip, share with your network. 95% of my clients and my best clients came from the pool of people that I already knew. So good. Don't miss that step. It's one of the things in our Savvy system is that personal outreach template. We literally give that little part for free on our website. But it's one of the things that we're like, don't miss this. Like, don't skip this because it's really, really, really important. Let's see. Oh yeah. And then Christy talking just about the support in the community. I know I keep talking about this. It's very genuine. I don't know where I'd be without SavvySystem. My friends don't get it. So I rely on our peeps in the group for support. Oh. It's one of the greatest things ever. Don't have to this alone. So good. And then we answered this question already. Do we need to make a website when you first start? Nope. I would actually say don't. If you want to like get your domain, because sometimes people are like, oh, I don't want to I found like the perfect domain name and it's $8.97 and I don't want to, you know, like I don't want to miss it. Well, buy the domain. That's fine. You can even like figure out like in a day how to put a coming soon page on or something, or like a little contact form, but please don't go and do like a whole full build out website unless, I mean, if you're like a web designer, you're like, I can do this in like, you know, an hour. Well, then fine, do it. That's fine. But, you know, it's the whole idea of action over perfection, right? Like we don't want to just get hung up on the things that aren't going to get you clients. Like Melanie was talking about, like you can have the most gorgeous website in the world and be making no money. I hate so many people who are making so much money with the ugliest website. Okay. So just putting it out there.
Agreed.
Let's see.
Oh my gosh. It looks like we do have a couple questions down there.
Okay, cool. How do you get motivated to continue on with your business? That's a great question.
So, okay. So for me, getting motivated is remembering my why. Why did I start this in the first place? Why, you know, for me, it was being able to stay home with my daughter and not miss a thing and to, you know, and I always had to remember that when I got the no, or when I was feeling unmotivated and I didn't want to continue forward, and having that posted somewhere or having it as your desktop screensaver or on your phone, just something to constantly remind you what your why is. And so and sometimes there are just days where we are unmotivated, and that's okay. Take a step away, get a breather, go enjoy, you know, go grab a cup of coffee and come back and start again. Because, you know, just because you pause doesn't mean you stop. Remember your why, give yourself some grace, step away, and then come back refreshed.
So good. So good. I want to have like a little bit of an honesty moment for you. I want to tell you something that really motivates you. And I'm going to say it because you might be feeling bad if you feel this way too, but don't feel bad. You know something that really motivates me? Money. But I'm serious. Like, I mean, it's so funny because we did not grow up with a lot of money, and I still even like half my clothes are Walmart clothes. Like I'm not a big like flashy whatever person, but I've always just thought like money was kind of like the fun game. Like even in college, I did a medical study once because I was like, I could make $2,000 in a summer, and I was like literally like one of the participants in a medical study, which probably was like but like I used to go do like these market research studies where it was like I could taste ketchup and make $10 by like saying which ketchup I like. Like I've always just thought that like making money was fun. And so I'm telling you, it's one of the reasons why we tell you get marketing, like tell your friends as soon as you can, because when you get that first client and you get that first paycheck, it's really motivating. And part of why it's so motivating is because it gets you closer to your why, right? Like it's, okay, my why is to be at home with my daughter. Well, money is going to be able to do that. But also just like the fun of making money can be really motivating as well. And I think that that's okay and not something that we need to be ashamed of if that's something that you enjoy doing. Right.
And I think you said it, Abby, that there's some shame around, oh, I want to get clients, I want to help people. But let's be honest, we're starting businesses because we want to make money.
Yeah. I love it. And that's why I love when people like celebrate their financial wins too. Like I love hearing like the deeper emotional wins, but I think both are equally important. Like when someone's like, oh my gosh, I signed a $2,000 client. We're like, yeah, you did. Come on. Right? Like, I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
All right, guys, we actually do need to wrap up here, but I just want to say thank you so much again for joining us. This was super fun. And if you didn't, I know I have to tell you one more time, but this Biz in 5 training, this is going to be epic. We're going to be really dissecting some of the common mistakes that virtual assistants make when they're just getting started. We're going to talk about what you really need to be a VA. And on the final day, I'm going to be going like all out and telling you some of my top marketing tips So if marketing is one of the things that has like scared you or made you nervous or gotten you totally confused in your business, definitely make sure you sign up for this 5-day series because it's going to be real good. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much again.
Thank you all. This was amazing. We'll see you all at Biz in 5.
Yeah. See you there.